So, welcome everybody. I'm Jem Bilbao and I'm environmental engineer and also a devoted member of ZNM Zusammen Stark, which is a European association for people with centronuclear myopathies. At the moment, we represent more than 250 people in Germany, Austria, the Netherlands, Switzerland, and Belgium. And yeah, in addition to my professional role, I also volunteer for the association, contributing to actually both groups. One is the public relations department, and the other one is the scientific advisory board. And yeah, I have to say that my journey is deeply personal because I am still a mom of a child with MTM, but who sadly left us at the age of 2. And today I have the honor of moderate this conversation with one of the very remarkable individuals in our community, Jeno. So I know Jeno already for 10 years. We just discussed this. And I have to say that Jeno has always been an inspiration for me because I met him as my baby was just a few months old. And to see Jeno gave me a lot of strength and motivation to continue fighting and doing a lot of work in our association. So thanks, Jeno, for your time and to be here. um, Jeno is a 23 years old man, and he just became a lawyer. So congratulations for that.
Yes.
Very interesting that you already finished this study. And he's also a passionate role-playing gamer, and he happens to have myotubular myopathy. So this is a rare muscle condition. And we are here today to talk about his journey on physical training, because recently he did some changes in his physical training, which has who's motivated him a lot and changed a lot in his life. So, his story is a profound story about discipline and resilience. So we really wanted to talk to him about this journey. So welcome, Jeno. How are you today?
Okay. Yeah. I'm good. But it's important to elaborate. So it's nice to be here.
hmm Thank you, Jeno, for your time. So we can start our conversation. Maybe you can share a bit about your journey with centronuclear myopathy and how it has shaped your life.
Yeah. Yeah. With regards to where the training comes from, and I think it's important to start where it's. I think everyone will kind of find himself in this. It's life in phases. So when you're a child with myotubular neuropathy, you have your challenges. And I've always gone through regular schools and tried to walk the path that regular healthy kids did. So as a child, I already had those struggles. You of course saw that you couldn't keep up with the healthy kids at school, and um, but and when you're a child, you look to your parents, and your parents can look at you, and if they say it's all right, then it's probably all right. So looking back at it, I think even though I was probably most sick and had the most setbacks when I was a child, and the most disappointments, I think that was the easiest portion of the three parts I've now experienced. Because you could just your worries weren't entirely your own. You could shove some of your worries to your parents, and then they could talk to you and then say it's all right. And you always have them, and you could look to them, and they know what's right, and they're strong, and they can comfort you. And then eventually you go to the second part of your life, which is your teens, and you go to high school. And I went to regular high school. There, for the first time, I started to kind of notice that I wasn't able to keep up. In primary school, but looking back, that was already happening. I had regular help. I had an assistant in class for most of the week with physical training, but that never registered to me as a child as being out of the ordinary. I had a woman with me called Evarista, and she was just part of. She was the other kids saw her as a teacher. She wasn't. She was there to help me. But it was very normal, and you don't really. Of course, you had the bad days where you weren't invited for something because parents thought you couldn't swim or something like that, and that kind of hurt. But then when you go to your teens and you start seeing uh, the the tougher high school again, I went to a regular high school. I was kicked out of school for being disabled in the first 2 years because the school promised a lot of things which they couldn't keep up with. I had to make some changes in the way we uh, well get to the end exams. Um, but yeah, that was then puberty hits and you're insecure and all that. So that happened for me as well. And then your parents become gradually less important. So that's the first time you start to notice that this is not that is probably a bit harder than you thought. Um, I know that yeah, it's a big word. I was very down when I was about 17, and that lasted a while. But I got a therapist, but I always managed to drag myself out of those holes and climb back up. Um, then you finish high school. That's done. You go to college, and college was another interesting experience for me because college and my early 20s, like 19, 20, 21, COVID hit around that time as well. But before COVID hit, I really realized that the normal curriculum of going to college was not possible. I became ill a lot. I had surgeries. Then COVID hit, and I went into lockdown. More on that later. And um, it was it was very, very, very disappointing because a big thing which I will also elaborate on in my training is I am very, very stubborn. And then I will not um, concede to my own limits. But then a school system will make you because you can't keep up and your grades will go down. And there is no excuses to be made. There's no adjustments. You can either fail or pass. And then if you fail or pass, you can do the year over. But the next year will be probably the same. So I have to gamble on a year and I have to keep rolling sixes to not get ill or to not get surgeries or to not a flu is enough for me to be out for a week. Then I have a second handicap, which developed around when I was 17. I had it when I was a child, but way less. And then it kept getting worse and worse and worse, and that's my migraines. So I got my muscle disease from my mom's side, and then I got my chronic migraines from my dad's side. And then when I was 17, that started to kind of show itself a little more. And then when I was 19, it got worse and worse through my 20s. This year was the worst, but now I'm medicated, luckily. Um, but yeah, those kept coming more and more and more, and I had 3 to 4 migraines a week. And those are the bad ones where you can't stand light and you're puking and everything is just hurting. So that is a big handicap on top of things. That just showed me that college wasn't possible. When Corona hit, and I had to be locked down, and schools, well, colleges weren't keen on putting everything online. And then I had a surgery, and I kind of had a sort of a mini stroke. It's hard to explain. That couldn't register it, but I couldn't properly form sentences for a couple of months, and then everything just fell apart. And and then we picked up from there. Then we found another way. I'm doing individual courses, so small studies of a year. Um, Normally, you do those when you're already employed and you're basically learning more, but I do them as my study and I just keep adding on them. And then the rest is practical experience. So I volunteered for the local council. Um, I help out there. Um, I have I help out with administrative works for a company in the neighborhood. So that's how I try to uh, learn law and other skills that I will need for my professional career. Um, yeah, I think that's a good introduction to that first question. I think you're muted.
Sorry. Thank you so much for sharing with us your story, because it's really remarkable that although you had so many challenges, you were still able to enjoy life and to do your studies and you never gave up. So this is very, very inspiring. And this brings us to the topic of today, the physical training that you recently or a couple of years ago you started. Can
Yes.
you tell us something like what inspired you to start this journey about physical training and how
Yeah.
it has evolved over time?
Yeah, the start was a bit interesting because now I would say it's all discipline and hard work and that that thing. But back then I was up to uh, be selected for the dinuclear clinical trial, and I wanted to cheat. That was the whole thing. I wanted to. They said, "Well, we have to keep your baseline in mind," and I asked, "Can I train while on the drug?" And they said, "Well, we have to keep your baseline. So if your baseline is training, then," and I was like, "Okay." So months before, I started training, and then my mind was like, "Okay, if I keep increasing the training every week, then my training increase is a baseline that I have." But then the trial got postponed for months, and then COVID hit, and another half a year, and then another half year. So I had been training for about a year, a little over, when the trial started. But by that point, it wasn't at all for that reason anymore. By that point, as I said, COVID had come around, and I was very, very scared, like I think most people of our community were. Me too. In 2017, I got a pneumonia. Back then, I was in the best condition that I'd ever been. I hadn't started training yet, but the puberty just kind of changed some muscle things around in my body, and I had naturally gotten a little bit stronger and more fit. And then I got ill, and that took everything away from me, and that scared me. And then COVID came, and I heard it was a lung disease issue, and hospitals were filling up here. I contacted my doctors, and they said, "Well, yeah, maybe we'll get an intensive care bed if something happens, but it's not entirely certain because you do have the quality of life discussion, and MTM is on a blacklist. It's they will never say that out loud, but that was kind of the you know.
Mhm.
So I didn't want to leave it up to that. So I was already training a bit. I was walking mostly. That was most of what I did, walking, and then I intensified because I was just scared for my life, and I went in a real lockdown for 15 months where I was just in this room. The first few months, I barely even ate at the kitchen table. I ate alone. Uh, my brother wasn't able to come home uh, for 15 months either. So fear. What motivated me? Fear. Fear was the motivator. And then later on, as COVID kind of stabilized and we've been in that for about a year and we knew what it was, and I'd already had it twice and survived. Um, the fear kind of turned into intrigue because I made some gains. I started my walks at a limit of a kilometer, and then I've been able to increase that to 2, and then over the time to 3. But then 3 in my head was the absolute limit because walking 3 kilometers. Sorry for my language, but that sucked. That was bad. I was done. But then I intensified the training again, and then it's intrigue turned into that was a motivation, and then the motivation turned into discipline. Because I was, as I kind of elaborated just now, a lot of things just fell apart in my life around that period, those 3 years. I had two surgeries. I went ill a couple times. I had COVID. My brain wasn't functioning for about 3 months, so I was kind of down for a while. And then I noticed that showing the discipline to myself, showing that I can force myself to do hard things, and the feeling that that gave me really helped. So that was the third motivator. It was just discipline. I like the feeling of knowing that I can do hard things, and then it's a mix of all of it now. It's intrigued where I can go with this, because I've now upped my the 3 kilometers, which was my ultimate record. I've over doubled that. I've now walked 7.2, and this year I'm walking 10. So yeah, we'll see where it ends.
Hmm. Yeah, wow, this is very inspiring. But especially to hear that it started with fear, but it changed into resilience actually, because then after fear, you felt probably that it's feeling good to your
Yeah.
body, and then you started continue this. But I do have a question, like how do you maintain this motivation? Because it's very there are a lot of people doing starting exercise, doing things, diets, whatever they're doing,
Yeah.
and they're the first months they are really motivated and doing these things,
Yeah.
and then if especially in challenging times, like if you were had surgeries or you were sick, like how did you maintain this motivation so you didn't give up?
Well, that's the thing, and I wrote it in the paper too, and I keep writing it and saying that everyone's good that you asked this. Motivation and discipline are two wildly different things. Motivation is something that you have for a while. So something you'll see can inspire you, something can motivate you. Um, and motivation is a kickstart. It's a booster rocket. It will get you some of the way, but that motivation will die down as things happen. You'll get a busy day at work and you're tired while you're actually planning on lifting weights or going for another walk that night. It's you just don't feel like it, and it's you've had a shitty day at work, and then that motivation dips, and then the next day something happens and it dips again, and then it's gone,
Mhm.
and you can't get the motivation back because what initially inspired you is kind of a spent shell. That's a gun that was shot. You can't. It's hard to get that back from the same thing. So then you're stuck without motivation. Motivation is a nice thing, but it's in the end useless if you want to maintain. The the thing with keeping consistent is discipline. It's knowing that it will make you feel good, knowing that well, for me it's different. In my head, it's just you have to. There is
Mhm.
no logic behind it. There is
Okay.
no, oh, you will feel better if, no, there's nothing, none of that. Because if I think logically, I know that I will lose everything I've gained a couple times a year if I get a flu, if
Mhm.
I just probably got cholera in Africa, and I just lose everything every time in a week. Everything that I've built over months is gone in a week. And then I have to rebuild it for months again, and then I lose it again. So if I think very realistically, it's very pointless what I'm doing. It's great, and I get great successes, and when I'm up there again, I feel great, and I'm strong and fit, and I can walk further, and I can lift more, and get in things of shells. I can raise my arms, and it's great. But then I know that in a couple of months, if I roll that on life for a second, then it's gone again. So in my head, it's not logical. I've said this to my parents a couple of times, and they're like, "Oh, but it's good." Not logical. But then my way of doing this is you have to. There's no, oh, but it's this, that. No, you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're doing this, and tomorrow we're doing this. And then I can't keep to a schedule because sometimes I do get exhausted or tired, but my goal is 4 to 6 times a week. And if I don't get four, well, then I'm really upset with myself.
Mm-hmm.
I am mean to myself. I'm hard on myself. It's constant, and you have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even today I'm going to do this, and at the end of the day you didn't do it, and you're like, ah, I didn't do this. No, today we're going to do this. And last year I wanted to walk 4 kilometers. I did 7. This year we're going to do 10, and there's nothing in the world that can stop me from doing that. That's what's going to happen. I saw it's possible, so we're going to
Yeah.
do it.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
that's
yeah.
that's discipline. That's not motivation.
Mm-hmm. So from your story, I understand that it became a habit for you. It's like brushing your teeth. You know you have to do it. It's not a question. You have
Yes.
to brush your teeth every day.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you do it. So the motivation become really a habit for you, and that's you have to do it, and not
Mm.
just to feel good because it's something that you need to do it.
It's
Hmm.
yeah. It has to be done. I
Hmm.
wanna. The underlying thing is how do I keep, and this is a very backwards thing. If I say to people that, oh, but that's not a healthy way to think. My way of thinking is set unrealistic goals that you cannot achieve. I want to train my disease away. It's not possible. You can't do that. But that's the deepest goal. And then behind the unrealistic one, set a semi-realistic one, which is very hard to achieve. So I walked my 3 kilometers, and as I said, that was probably the hardest thing that I've ever put on myself. But at the end of that, I was absolutely spent for days. And then last year, I was like, okay, that was probably my all-time record. I'll probably never beat that, but I want to try to walk 4.
Hmm.
And then I went on the walk, and my cardio was just a lot better, and it went a lot better than last time. It's and by now it's become a thing like I need to see where this goes. I need to see, and my unrealistic goal but achievable goal for this year is 10. 10 is crazy because by the 7 everything was hurting. My hip was done, my knees were done, my back was done. It wasn't so much the cardio as my hip getting out at that point. Isn't used to that. But then I know it's possible
Hmm.
because my cardio held up. So if I could just push through like 3 kilometers more, then I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the
So
first, yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
that's an unrealistic. That's a tough goal, but it's an achievable one. And then the unrealistic one is me wanting to train my disease away, and that is when you're in a very dark spot and you're walking and you've been walking for a while. And you have to keep the pace, and you have 5 kilos on your back, which for me at some points is a lot. I went up to 10 at one point, but that was difficult. And
Hmm.
you're just exhausted, completely exhausted. And then you keep it in mind, like, okay, but we need to keep going because we need to get healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think important point from your story is also that you believe that you could do it, and you have this vision. Okay, I see myself doing this. I know I can do it, and this is the first step to achieve things, like to really believe that you are able to do this.
yeah,
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 that's
and to let nothing stand in the way of that.
yeah.
Because I told a friend of mine about I told my parents about the 10 kilometers, and they're like, yeah, maybe it's good to go to 8. And then I told a friend of mine who has known this journey of mine. He goes to the gym as well, and he's helped me on a lot of the theoretical things. Um, and he said, yeah, there's nothing that's gonna stop you. Even if you get sick, you will build it up again and you do it anyway. And that's true. There's yeah, you have to
Hmm.
kick my legs to not for me to not do that.
Hmm. Yeah.
No.
And from your experience, how does physical exercise contribute to your physical and also to your mental well-being? Can you explain something about that?
Yeah, I mean the physical part is very clear. I can send you the documents with all the improvements and any exercise. So I do besides the walking, I do weight training. So just your average gym bro things, the bench presses, the dumbbell curls, everything. You just see that my weight on every one of these exercises has gone up exponentially. So, for example, with the bench presses, I started at 4 kilos, and then I worked my way up to 14.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to improve that next week. And then the most crazy one of the weight exercise improvements has been my leg press on the leg press machine. I started at 15. No, yeah, I started at 15, and I'm now at 38. And then on the lateral raise, a pull down. I mean lateral pull down. I started to pull down 8 kilos, and I'm now at 24. So those
Wow.
are the increases, and then the walking. I just told you I started at 1, and I'm now at 7.2.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been the increase there. I feel that is the fitness increases. Then in everyday life, I can raise my arms really easily. I can stand up from chairs. Walking stairs has been the most interesting because normally I walk stairs like this,
Mm-hmm.
and now I can just walk stairs normally. I don't need a railing for most of them. Yeah, that's been the most not needing to hold a railing for a stair has been the most interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, it's just energy. Also, I feel a lot better. There's still fatigue days because sadly we still have the same disease, but and we train a lot. But yeah, I just have a lot more energy, and if I keep up with the work, then I will feel that I have a lot more energy because the dopamine is firing as well. So it just tracks your body into. That's the physical side. So it's just an overall improvement. Um, I said that if the dinuclear trial gave me this type of improvement, I would have said it's a miracle drug. That being said, I do think it's also important to note that the um, it's it's um, it's a return on investment, and what you invest is probably a lot more than you pay back. Because yes, the increases are absolutely bonkers if you think about them. But what you put in, this is every day for me. This is a lifestyle. This is constant muscle aches. This is constant tired. This is not a pill, sadly. And if I would have gotten the Dynacure pill and gotten these results, we would have all said, "Wow, that drug really works."
Mm-hmm.
But then, if you have to work for it every day and sometimes really push yourself to through limits, then I would say that yes, it's really nice, but taking that I also lose it a couple times a year and have to build myself up, I would say it's a bit of a bad investment, at least a tough investment. And then mental health, it's everything. Uh, but that's more of the journey that I took. I've been, I think everyone has been, at least in our position, if they admit it to themselves or not, has been unhappy with their situation. And I hear it everywhere. And I now have a friend who's also uh, become disabled overnight, and he has the same thoughts. It's the same for everyone. And my training helped me take control a bit because as I said, I'm a very stubborn individual, and I when you explain antibiotics to your child, you say, well, the soldiers are fighting the disease in your body. That's how it was always explained to me. And then as a child, I made up this childish notion of, well, then my mind is the soldier that will fight my disease. And it's always been me, like my disease is not me, my body's not me. I'm trapped in it. Um, so that's always been if I get sick, then that's a battle won by the disease. But if I make another record, then it's a battle won by me. And I want to win as many battles before I lose because you will lose. And that is how I visualize. It's visualization. But what that's done for my mental health is that I constantly have victories. and that I see, okay, this has been the toughest 3 years of my life. Uh, but I've been having constant victories throughout, and um, I've also been better than I have been in my entire life, and I can take charge. And then there's also a biological thing, which there's just a dopamine release in your head when you train and do heavy physical exercise, and that is just very hard to feel sad on if you have that natural drug in your system.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's one of them. Um, but it's it's the feeling of clenching your jaws and just your fists and getting to work and fighting back. It's being able to be so mean to yourself and get out on top. It's for me, you can survive anything at that point, and I have survived worse. So if I'm in a very hard spot and I'm working very hard, it's tough and I want to quit. I just think back at the times in hospital where I could barely breathe and where it was like this close and we wouldn't be here anymore. And then I think, well, that was an entire night of that alone, and now I only have to do another 10 minutes of this. It's you learn to, yeah, for the mental health, it's also learning to accept certain things, which you do what I just said. I will win as many battles as I can before I lose, because you will lose. And accepting that there will be another wave in the near future, and accepting, well, seeing that you can stand tall in the wave and take it, and at the end of that come out, even though uh, this last couple of 3 years of waves uh, have been making me doubt myself that I could get through at points. But now I know that if there's another bad set of years, I've survived it. I have, and I've done it alone. I've done it as an adult. I've done it without anyone to look through but myself. And I, life will become a lot easier at that point. And training has shown me this even more.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah. So it's not been just for the physical or mental well-being, but it's just like it really helped you to go through life, like
Yeah,
to know that to make sure that you're gonna survive these things. So great.
yeah. It's always been it's always an interesting thing because you don't realize how down you are until you come out of it.
Yeah.
And I realized that now everything was all right and everything was very bright and shiny again in the world. I realized that it was very, very dark for a couple of years.
Mm.
Uh, and and I think it's a good message to get out there that those times, even though they will last a long time sometimes. For me, they lasted 3 consecutive years, and that was a long time. And at some point, you'll have moments where you're like, this is never gonna end. My
Hmm.
body's broken, and I was every human has a mental breaking point too. I'd reached that.
Yeah.
I had broken. I was I was not proud of who I was in my head. I didn't
Yeah.
show it, but yeah. And it's hard for me to. I don't like talking about mental things a lot, but I know that everyone can relate to some points, and that even though I have it better than most, it's still relatable to everyone, I think. And if you haven't gone through that realization yet, that those it will get better at some point, and then it
Yeah.
will be bad again, and then it'll be better again, and that's how life goes.
Hmm. Yeah. Thank you for that. There was also a question from the community about your nutrition. Did you change also your nutrition, or it was just about the
Yeah.
exercises?
No. So there is a limit you can do with only hard work because your muscles will tire out, and um, you need recovery. And the most important thing with food nutrition is upping your protein. So I calculate the protein I need to eat for my body weight, and I try to hit that every day. I want to go to protein shift because it's easier to consume than eggs, and right now I'm on 8 to 12 eggs a day, which is a lot of
Wow.
eggs to eat. Then the most important thing is water, hydration. Everyone drinks too little, and I was definitely one of those people. So when I was a child, I drank like half a liter a day if someone forced me.
Mhm.
And then you have to drink at least three. So I do 3 to 5, and I try to hit 5 every day because
Liters or
liters, liters.
liters. Mhm.
And then you just feel that's the biggest immediate change because if you're loaded on water, if you're well hydrated, you just feel your body function a bit better.
Mm.
Uh, Caffeine is also a big one, but I
Yeah.
think most people know the caffeine trick. Um, yeah, so a lot of water, a lot of protein. Um, yeah, that's it's mostly trying to keep track of your calories a little because every pound you gain that isn't useful pounds is a pound you have to carry. And
Yeah.
I walk with backpacks a lot, and then you start to realize because I was 56 kilos at some point, now I weigh 48, and then I
Wow.
put a 10-kilo backpack on my back for one day, and I was like, this is heavy. I
Yeah.
understand why I was that weak before.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you just have to
You
carry
have
him,
to
and
carry
yeah,
that. Yeah.
so that's a big one. I don't want to be a health guru. Oh, I lose fat, no, but it's an easy, never easy, but the easiest way to lose those pounds are protein intake, reduce fat intake, and then you're there because your body has this nasty tendency of wanting to burn your muscles off first before
Mhm.
they start burning fat. So if you start heavy exercise, the last thing that will burn is fat, and
Yeah.
the first thing that will burn is muscle. And how you prevent that is just put in that protective layer of protein because then your muscles can consume the protein and your body will have to take from another store, and that's the fat store. You will also build muscle that way. So
Mhm. Yeah.
because you're yeah, I've just read a lot of studies on fitness over the years and on
Yeah.
nutrition. So I recommend anyone that wants to get into it. I recommend doing some research into the theoretical side, talking to people that actually go to the gym fanatically. Um, Important to note that physicians or doctors played a very minor role in my entire journey. Uh, when things hurt when I did them, I went to check if that was all right to do.
Mhm.
And then if they said, yeah, maybe, then we were okay. But if they said no, then no. And if they said yes, then it's okay too. But um, they didn't help me with the training program. They didn't help me with the nutrition. That's just research. I would recommend you doing your own because that's going back to the motivation and the discipline thing. It's better. It's also more motivating for you to figure out things on your own. At least for me.
Mhm.
Um, and if everything is spoon fed to you, and the doctor says, "Well, you have to do these things," then I probably won't do them.
Mhm.
So yeah,
It has to come from inside. Yeah.
exactly. It's intrinsic.
Yeah, exactly. So that was good recommendations for maybe adults facing, well, actually for everybody, not just for people with centronuclear myopathies, but I think everybody could
Yeah,
benefit
it's
from
across the board.
those. Do you have any advice for parents of children with muscle diseases? So based on your own experience growing up with
Yeah.
MTM?
Yeah, if you read the paper, you will see it. I was a stubborn, annoying young man that didn't want to do anything. I really didn't want to do it because it's tiring and it hurts, and I had school to keep up with, and I had friends to keep up with, and I had to be a child. So yes, exercise is good, and some of it is nice during the week. Um, but then your kid is a kid also, and I was a kid, and I didn't want to do it, and that had a very looking back on it, it's easy to think, oh, I was just a teenager. It's more than that. I had to be a teenager. I had to be a kid. I had school. I had friends, and this costs a lot. And back then, now I can just force myself through the exhaustion a little bit more. It's still tough sometimes. I still don't do it. But you just hurt. If you train like this, your muscles hurt and you're tired. And sometimes you're hungry as well. And it's hard to be a child and have fun and keep up with your schoolwork when you're tired. And
Mhm.
so, what my recommendation would be, if your child wants to do it, you will figure that out. It's good to remind them that it's a possibility. And what I wanted to show with this mostly is something that was really, really interesting to me. That is that with a muscle disease like ours, you can build muscle, and my muscles have grown like visually too. It's really interesting, and that is the point I wanted to get across. It's possible, but not go force your children to do the same because it's not feasible.
Mhm.
They have to find that motivation for themselves. They have to find that will. And if you put it in perspective with how much I put in and how much that exhausts me, I train like a professional athlete, and that's not a pat myself on the back. That's just how we do it. I train every day for more than an hour, which completely destroys me. And I changed my diet, I changed everything, I sacrificed things in my social life for it. I train like a professional athlete because I want to see where this takes me. And it's not a we do this now and then and next month we're strong and then we don't have to do it anymore. No, your muscles will disappear in the blink of an eye. It's gone. So if your child wants to do that, they'll probably figure that out in their 20s. Um, that's yeah, you can't force anyone to do this.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
a caveat to that is, I would say, not for children, but just for anyone listening, you don't have to train like a maniac to get improvements. Uh, it's the more you put in, the more you get out. But that also means that if you go on regular walks or raise your arms, or I don't know the situation, just do movements, any movements, target your muscles a little bit, or everything that makes you a little more tired than you already were will do this for you. And if you do that more than you already did, then you will get more out of it than you did by not doing it.
Yeah.
So things like moving your hands or moving your head or anything, stretching or having yourself stretch, anything that's physical will give you something back. And the more you put in, the more you get out. And
Mm.
depending on your condition, the improvements that you can make are also relative. So for me, I cannot gain what a healthy person can gain by a long shot, but I can stand up from my chair more easily now, and
Mm.
I can reach for the tin of tea on the shelf, and that's really
Yeah,
nice.
exactly.
And for normal people, that's like, oh, okay, that's it. You got that from all that, you know. But that's just such a nice improvement
Yeah.
to make,
In your
and that's what you're shooting for.
Yeah, it's an improvement in your quality of life, definitely. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Okay, thank you for that. I just have one more question because you are part of our association, CDM Zusammen Stark, and I wanted to know how being part of this association impacted your journey and what the role of community support plays in your life.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been really nice to go to the weekends and to have friends like you and Holger and all the other people that I've met. It's um nice to have it. It's nice to for me. I'm uh on top of everything I just said. I was also born quite more lucky than sadly most with our disease are, and that has been an such an impact. When I saw it the first time, I was like, man, I am so fortunate that I have what I would say to healthy people with regards to me. I have every time it's a reality check.
Yeah.
It's what could have been, and it's so empowering to see all those people handle their situations because everyone is handling their own problems. and it's yeah, in the community sense of like, um, I'm as I say in the paper too, I'm a loner in that regard. I don't, I find it hard to talk about deeper things with people. I can only do it when I don't realize I'm talking to someone, like now. Um, so in that regard, I have a friend with MTM in the UK, and I talk with him about things, and I found some people. But that's something someone has to find on their own, and the community can definitely help with that. So I have a German hurdle to get over, and I don't speak German that well.
But you can still communicate very well, so
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always been nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always been nice to have you in our community. You're a great part of it, and yeah, it's always nice to talk to you. And I don't think, yeah, you always have nice stories to tell, so I really enjoy talking to you.
Hmm.
Yeah. So now for the
It's
last,
it's a like it's a likewise thing. I always enjoy talking to you and basically everyone there as well. It's just
yeah,
a nice group of people.
that's true. So the last question, what are your goals for the future in terms of training, your studies, I don't know, advocacy work? What are your
Yeah,
plans?
I'm planning to truck on, basically. So keep on the road that we're on and see where it takes us. And that is the plan. I'm having a clear. I made a road, and that road is starting to unfold. But I know that I can't control any of that beyond what I'm doing. So I'm just going to continue doing studies, building experience in my professional and personal life, and then in the training, I want to keep growing. This year, I'm gonna walk 10 kilometers.
Yes.
It's gonna sound so bad. It's gonna be so awful, but we're gonna do that. And then in my advocacy, again, I plan to keep trucking on. Uh, I did this with Nicole. Nicole had to do some convincing uh, for me to do this as well.
The paper writing,
But
you
I'm
mean, or
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But then I'm glad I did it. So yeah, it's also with that I'm still planning to continue. I'm doing advocacy work for the village now too, which is a good experience. So I'm planning to keep continue. I'm just going to keep going and see where it takes me. That's the short answer.
Hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Jeno. It's been a privilege of hearing directly from you about your dedication, your intrinsic motivation, discipline. Yeah, it's been great to hear about that. And I'm sure a lot of people in our community will be really interested to hear our conversation and maybe more questions come up. But yeah, thank
Yeah,
you. And I
people
hope
can
we see
always
you also at the family conference.
yes, definitely. We've booked. So
Okay.
and if people have questions, you can also just send me an email or something, or
Yeah.
come to me on the conference, and otherwise via you, it's also fine. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
That's great. Thank you so much and have a very good day then.
yeah, same to you.
Bye.
Bye.